think that the big innovation, which is changing the world more than anything else, is the ability, what I and others call the ability to hack human beings, to decipher human beings, which, you know, humans have been trying to do from the beginning of history. Humans are extremely complicated. And throughout history, we just didn't have the tools to really understand how humans function, how they make decisions, and so forth. To hack a human being, you need massive amounts of data, especially biological data, because we are biological entities. And you need massive amounts of computing power to make sense of it. Previously in history, we just didn't have this. Our understanding of biology was extremely limited. The ability to gather data on masses of people was also very limited. And we didn't have the computing power either. If you think about even the KGB in the Soviet Union, you can't put a KGB officer to follow each and one of the almost 200 million Soviet citizens. You don't have 200 million Soviet agents, KGB agents. And even if you have, what do you do with the data that they gather? I mean, it's, I don't know, 1960 in Moscow, they follow you around, they write a paper report, they send it to headquarters in the center of Moscow, and then you have piles and piles and piles of paper reports. Now, somebody needs to read them and make sense of them and reach conclusions which will become more paper reports. So it's even in a totalitarian regime, it's really impossible.
Doesn't work, doesn't scale.
Now it's feasible. You don't need human agents to follow everybody around. You have these gadgets. I mean, I have my own, I bought the agent that follows me around. The government didn't even have to force me to have it. You have all these smartphones and microphones and cameras everywhere. And you don't need humans to go over all the resulting data and analyze it. You now have AI and machine learning. So it's becoming feasible for the first time in history to hack all the people. And you add to that the increasing biological knowledge, and that's the explosion. That we are very close to the point when nobody will ever know people 100%. That's impossible. It's impossible in nature to know something 100%, but you don't need to. You just need to know people better than they know themselves. And that is the big game changer of the 21st century. Now, this new ability has enormous positive potential as well as enormous negative potential. It can create the best healthcare system in history, which recognizes illnesses long before you feel there is anything wrong with you. And it can create the worst totalitarian regimes that ever existed. Something far, far worse than the Soviet Union. Something that can really get into your mind 24 hours a day. And that's the big choice that we are facing. Now, there is cause for some optimism because we can still choose to use the technology for good and not for evil. It's difficult, not only because there are many bad actors out there, but also because it requires us to be much more humble about who we are. Humans resist the idea that they are hackable, that somebody can really know me better and manipulate me. But to survive what's happening right now, we need to come to terms with who we really are, with the fact that I personally don't understand myself very well, but increasingly some other agents might be able to do it. To be, in this sense, much more curious about ourselves and much less certain about our opinions, about our thoughts. And this, again, it goes back to the work that Danny has done, not just in this book, but for previous books also, for decades. I mean, finding the biases, finding the shortcuts, the heuristics of the human mind. It presents, when we look in the mirror, and it forces us to see ourselves in a much more humble way. And if we are able to accept this and embrace it, this can be a basis for a much better world. But if we stick with the kind of egocentric and arrogant view of ourselves, then it makes us extremely vulnerable to this new kind of technology.